This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm your host, Dan Z. Thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Everyone is here. Let's bring in Ross. He is back. Congratulations. Ross has worked very hard. Just completed his second master's degree, so kudos to you, my friend. It's all about relaxing now, so let's join everybody else here. Minta can't join us tonight, but she'll be here next time. We look forward to that, Minta. Very happy Monday to you, certainly. Jason is here. What is up, Jason? Good to have you back on the show. Hello, Mason Z. Mason Z doing a great job in third grade. Thanks, everybody, for the well wishes. He is having a great time learning lots. Terry is here. Hello, Terry. Terry is soon to be in Galaxy's Edge and Batu. We're very excited for you, Terry. Can't wait to see your pictures. By the way, Matthew Graken, who was on Coffee with Kenobi a couple of weeks ago, he and his family are at Galaxy's Edge now, and you've probably seen some of the pictures he's posted in the CWK Cafe. Christina, hello. Good to have you back on the show, as well as LJ. What is up, my friend? Good to have you. LJ, of course, was on the show last week, doing a fantastic job, as always. Nicholas is here. Hello, Nicholas. So nice to have you on the show. We're very excited to have you. Brian is here saying, Monday, Monday, Monday. Yeah, that's so good. By the way, did I introduce myself? My name is Dan Z. And I am thrilled to be talking with all of you tonight, talking about some Star Wars. Our family-friendly, spoiler-free community. This conversation, this community is what it's all about in the world of Star Wars, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. So thank you so much for giving up your most precious commodity, your time, to hang out with me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Cato is here. Hello, Cato. Hey to you. Good to have you. Tonight's show is, of course, going to be top 5 favorite what? Top 5 favorite clones. This was a hard one. A lot of people in the CWK Cafe, which is, of course, is our Facebook group. We're talking about what a challenge it was to come up with this list. It was hard. Mason said he wished it had like a top 10 or something like that. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what all of you come up with. Speaking of looking forward to it, have you gotten the chance to email starcruiser@mei-travel.com to be on the interest list? Remember, this is not an obligation. There is no money that is put down. This is purely saying, hey, once bookings are up, I at least want to hear more about it. So I certainly did that. I'm wondering if you were as well. Christina says this top 5 is not enough. I need a top 10. Well, Mason agrees with you, but we only have a top 5 today. But it's going to be fun. Josh is here. He says he's very excited for this quite tricky list. I'm excited for it too. We're going to be talking about your top 5 favorite clones. And then, whoops. I want to talk about top 5 favorite clones. I'm excited about it. I want to hear what you have to say. And I'm also excited to do some Star Wars trivia with you, which is what we're going to do after this one. So, top 5 category tonight is your top 5 favorite clones. Mary, I want you to know, Terry, that you can have half of her. She has 11 on her list. Well, there you go. And then there's one thrown in for good measure. Very fun. All right, let's do it. Let's see what you've all come up with. I knew this was a challenging one. This is why we came up with it. We are excited. Yeah, Terry, we're hoping everything is okay, too, and that you are safe and sound, my friend. Number 5 for me of top 5 favorite clones is Hunter. Mason could not believe this morning when we were getting ready for school that Hunter was number 5 on my list. I think he thought he would be higher on my list. I love Hunter. Hunter is great. But we only have one season and a couple episodes of Clone Wars. And as much as I like Hunter, he's kind of the same fellow. I love him, but he doesn't grow a ton. At least he hasn't yet in season 1. So that's why he's number 5, plus the ones that I have a little bit higher. Well, you'll see. But it'll be fun. Number 5 for Ross. Ross says, look at this. Ross says 501st Torrent Company kind of had to choose this one from the book The Clone Wars No Prisoners. Yes, you did, since it is your namesake. Christina is number 5. Cut Lochwain. I love his introduction in Clone Wars, serving to show that not all clones feel the same way about fighting the war and that a different life is possible for them. I also love how his choices contribute to Rex's personal growth. Indeed they do, and that is a good one. I expect Cut's name to show up a lot. Speaking of, Nicholas says Cut from the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. He's an interesting character and is one of the few Republic clones that questions orders. Oh, isn't that true? How about that? And not because of a chip or anything else, just because of his belief system. Mary's number 5 is Clone 99. Terry's number 5 is Fives. How about that? Very good. Very, very fun. So she's splitting up as promised, Terry. So you have 5s for yours. I love it, Mary. That's so fun. Jason's number 5, Captain Hauser, the hair, the armor, the honor. Yeah, if we did top 5 favorite clone hairstyles, Hauser all the way, man. All the way. That's good. That's good. Speaking of hair, what's going on with mine? What's going on here? All right, let's fix that. Okay, Kato. Kato's number 5. Cody, I love the color orange, and I think I have 2 versions in my office. Oh, cool. Cool. Cody is one that Mason is a big fan of as well. A lot of people love Cody. Jose, what's up, man? Jose's number 5 is Wrecker. He's not super complex, but he's the older brother I strive to be. Jose, that is a fantastic reason. That's as good a reason as any that I could possibly think of. I love that. Number 5 for Brian. Heavy. I want to put 5s as number 5 to go with the theme, but he is higher on my list. Very good. Yeah, when you put 5s on there, it's funny. It's like, my number 2 is 5s. My number 3 is 5s, but it's not. But I found myself running into that as well. But number 5 for Brian is Heavy. Josh has a tie. I don't know, Josh. We're going to have to make you pick one. He says Wrecker and Echo. It was a hard list. In the end, I couldn't decide between these two. Wrecker's great, and so is Echo for different reasons. Well, if, Josh, and don't get me wrong, I love that you have this because I had plenty of ties, and Mason and I talked each other out of making ties. So I can't play favorites, my friend. But which one would you give a little bit of an edge to? Just curious, of course. Just having a little bit of fun. Let's see. Josh says he forgot about 99. I know it's tricky. Well, speaking of Mason, Mason's number 5, Boba Fett. Maybe you've heard of him. Boba Fett is certainly a clone. Mason picked him as his number 5. Hey, wait, where's Blake Weaver? I thought he had a Clone Wars list too. Maybe he'll be joining us later. No worries. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4 of your top 5 favorite clones. Number 4 for me is Rex. Rex, shockingly, is not a little bit higher. I do love Rex a lot. We've got more of Rex than anybody. I really like Rex in Rebels. I think he's cool. I like seeing him in Bad Batch. I'd love to see more of him. He's kind of like the alpha prototype to me of the clones and what they can be. And I love Rex and his relationship with Ahsoka. He's my number 4. Okay, so Josh says, ultimately, Echo in the end, but it's real close. Hey, that's fair. And I know, man, I know this is hard. I totally get that. So my number 4 is Rex. What is number 4 for everyone else? Here we go. Jason's number 4 is 5s. His determination to discover the truth about the inhibitor chips, saving Rex, Ahsoka, the Bad Batch Wolf, and Gregor. Love it. Christina's number 5 is... Sorry, this is going to happen a lot. Christina's number 4 is 5s. For a long time, we thought he was the last of Domino Squad, and his death was devastating. His sacrifice in trying to alert the Republic, the clones, and the Jedi to the true nature of the inhibitor chips was essential to the survival of Rex. All the good these characters are able to do in the galaxy after Order 66 is directly attributable to his sacrifice. Well, Christina, very well said. Number 4 for Mary, for her, she says Hunter, number 4. And Terry, you've got Echo. Well, there you go. I still get a kick out of you doing that. Mary, that's awesome. Nick, number 4, 99. Despite being considered a defective clone, his loyalty and optimism has inspired others, such as Echo, Heavy, and 5, to become the heroes they are today. 99 wouldn't have been too out of place in the Bad Batch. It's true. I agree with that. Jose says cut for the reasons already stated. Love it. Kato, number 4, 99, because the story in Clone Wars was amazing. He finds a way to fulfill his duty. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Brian's number 4, 99. He's the big brother that you want to have, always having your back and never doubting you. That's great. 99 getting a lot of love tonight. I think that's so cool. Number 4 for Mason is Scorch. So we poured over the guide to the Clone Wars that Jason Fry wrote that came out a few months ago, and Mason loves Scorch. Scorch's armor is super cool. Think Republic Commando style or Battlefront, but Scorch is a really cool one. So Mason's number 4 is Scorch. That is a deep cut, my friends. All right. Number 3. Number 3 for me is Cut. Cut Lockwain. I love Cut. I wanted to put him higher. The other people I put in front of him, you'll see why. But Cut, at the end of the day, he stands up for what he believes in. He takes a stand. And more importantly than any of that, to me, is he has a family. He has a family, and he's a dad. He's got a wife. He's got 2 kids. And he just looks cool. He's tough. He's rugged. He's still got all his training, but he cares more about his family than anything else and will do anything to protect them. As a dad myself, I can't help but love that storyline. I was completely transfixed by him in the second episode of The Bad Batch. I've since rewatched the Clone Wars episode that he was in, and I love him. So Cut is definitely my number 3. Okay, so let's see. Christina's number 3. Echo. Sole surviving member of Domino Squad. I think his ideals represent the best what the clones were designed for and really represent how he was raised with the influence of Rex and the 501st. Good job, Christina. You are really nailing it with these explanations. Echo's great. I was debating putting Echo on mine. I didn't, but I really like Echo a lot. Number 3 for Mary. Her number 3 is Wrecker. Terry has Cut. Terry and I have the same one for number 3. Number 3 for Ross. 99, a member of Topoka City's maintenance crew. He's gifted in different ways. 99, maybe showing up more than anybody. I think 99 and Cut are showing up the most on our list. How fun. Number 3 for Nick. 5, so he figured out about Order 66. If he hadn't been tragically killed, the Jedi may have been saved. Wasn't that cool? And that's very true. That is very true. Interesting. All right, Jose, number 5. I keep doing that. Jose's number 3 is 5s. I'll get it one of these days. His time with Domino Squad is super cool, and of course, he gives his life for his brothers to learn about the chips. Indeed, he does. Yes. That's cool. I see everybody. I'm curious, when you all made your list, did you rewatch any episodes? Did you Google some stuff? Did you look at Jason Fry's book? How did you prepare for this? I'd love to know that maybe after we finish these lists. Jason's number 3, 99. Again, 99. Even though he couldn't physically fight in the Grand Army, the fighting spirit and valor of the clones was just as strong in him as it was in his brothers. If anyone is going through and keeping track, it would be fascinating to see how many we got. Ben is here. What's up, man? Good to have you. He says my number 5 is 5s and sacrifice over the inhibitor chips for his record because he's just a tough guy with a soft side, and I loved his story this past season. Excellent, Ben. Love it. And let us know your number 3 as well. Josh, number 4, Hauser. Who would have thought a character who only appeared in 2 episodes would become so beloved, such an interesting and relatable character? I feel like he's kind of representative of the clones as a whole. And then he got some lot of great stuff there that I'd encourage everybody to read. That's great stuff. And he says, it leaves room for good thought and in-depth conversation. Yes, absolutely. Cato, number 3, it's cheating to say the Bad Batch. Yes, that is cheating, Cato. Come on, that is a big tie, but a great tie. Cato says, I will say Wrecker because I can't believe how I am always touched by his kind heart matched by his strength. Wrecker is fun and very sweet and charming. Chris is late to class again. Chris, no worries, man. You know you don't need a pass. Good to have you, my friend. Really good to have you back on the show. We're doing our top 5 favorite clones, by the way. Brian's number 3, Boba. Great to see his story through the prequels, original trilogy, and more. Can't wait to see what is in store in the book of Boba Fett. So there are 2 votes now for Boba Fett, Mason and Brian. Very good. Jason, I've been doing a Clone Wars rewatch since February. So many clones, so many indeed. That's got to take a long time. Ross wants to let you know, Chris, he grew up in Crofton. So there you go. Small world. Number 3 for Josh is Rex. He says, it's Rex, so part of me almost feels guilty for only putting him at 3. That's how I feel about putting him at 4. Considering we've had 7 seasons of Clone Wars, 3 seasons of Rebels, and 2 episodes of Bad Batch, but hopefully it'll make sense when I show my number 1 and 2. Anyway, Rex is great. What can I say? It's Rex. Rex is great. I love Rex. Chris wants you to know, Ross, where he works near John Hopkins Road. How about that? Again, small world, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3 for Mason is fives. Hey, I said it correctly. Good job. Number 3 for Mason is fives. He loves fives. He loves his arc in season 6 of the Clone Wars. Very compelling. A very, very cool clone. All right. Let's jump into number 2. My number 2, my second favorite clone, is Hauser. Pardon me. So why do I pick Hauser? Hauser, I think, is fascinating because even more than Rex and some of the other clones, Hauser in a very small amount of time does undergo change and growth. Certainly fights for what he believes in, just like all the clones do for whatever reason. There's something about Hauser that's more interesting, more complex. Yes, he's got a great look, a great design, awesome hairstyle, of course. But there's just something compelling about Hauser, and I feel like we're going to see a lot more of Hauser. And he's very fascinating. And these number 2s are popping up all over the place, so this is wonderful. Ben 3 was Omega. First one for Omega that we've heard. Ben says Omega's maturity at such a young age is great. I really hope that we get to see her grow more. I feel like each clone is very unique, and I feel like she's going to be a very relatable clone for many people for years to come. Excellent, Ben. Love it. Josh says, I must say, because of all the great lists everyone is, I've been second guessing all my picks. Man, can't we just do all clones ranked? Woo, that would take a long time, but that's cool. It's good that we all got each other thinking. I love it. Number 2 for Jason Tech, my favorite member of the Bad Batch from the beginning. I love how competent he is, how he fights with a blaster in one hand and a data pad in the other, and his one-liners. Well said, Jason, as always. Christina, number 99. One of the best and bravest clones. His value as a confidant and mentor to the other clones, and especially Domino Squad, was far superior to any battlefield contribution and demonstrates that fighting is the only way to serve. Thank you, Christina. That is great. Jose's number 2, Boba Fett. He's always been super cool. His appearances in Clone Wars are fun as he starts out, and then in The Mandalorian, he returns and is fantastic. Mandalorian's still my favorite version of Boba Fett, for sure. Number 2 for Ross is Omega. I can't wait to see and learn more about her story. I love Omega. I can't believe we haven't heard more of her, but maybe we're about to hear a lot of her. Who knows? Next, number 2 is Rex. Rex has played an important role throughout much of the Star Wars saga. He was a hero during the Clone Wars, helped the Bad Batch and the Rebels. He was even on the Force Moon of Endor during the final battle against the Empire. Yeah, that's still somewhat... I don't know if they've ever officially said. I mean, they kind of allude to it at a celebration. Dave kind of joked about it with Pablo, but they still won't quite put that stamp down. But I like to think that that's Rex. I think that would be super cool. So, speaking of Rex, Kato's number 2 is Rex. I mean, the guy is a connecting thread through the Clone Wars and Rebels. What a complicated and essential character that he turned out to be. He tries a lot of the dramatic irony in the episodes. Oh, yes. Kudos on the dramatic irony. That's definitely true. Mary's number 2 is Omega. And she says Terry's is Gregor and Wolf. They're the pair in Rebels. Oh, that's a tie, but because we're hooking up Terry tonight, I guess we'll allow it. So, Josh, I guess your tie counts earlier as well. Speaking of Josh, Josh's number 2 is Omega. To be honest, when I first saw her in the trailer, I was skeptical to say the least. However, after the first 2, I had a full 180-degree turn. Omega is utterly fantastic. They've perfectly written a child. I can't ask for any more, but I hope that I will. Very relatable and just plain amazing. Let's see. Oh, we already got that one. I thought I saw you around here, Ross, so I apologize if I'm missing you. No, I don't see you. Okay. Ben's number 2 is Boba. He isn't really defined by being a clone, but he's arguably one of the most important ones. I'm excited to see them finish his arc through The Mandalorian and his series. Yes. Yes, I am too. That's super fun. Mason's number 2 is Omega. So I was shocked that he didn't have Omega as his number 1, but his number 1 is a very good one. But he loves Omega. And he and I talked about this when we were getting ready for school this morning. Omega's one that we first thought we didn't necessarily know what to think, but then she became one of our favorites. So that was great. Number 2 for Brian is Rex. He had a pivotal story in the story. He had a pivotal role. See, when you think so faster than you talk, it's hard to kind of do this, but I'm doing my best. He had a pivotal role in the story of Star Wars, including being a sounding board for Anakin and helping him hide his conversations with Padme. He then helps Ahsoka escape Order 66. He then shows up again in Rebels to become a very strong hero against the Empire. Yes, indeed. No one would complain about Rex. So Mary's jumped into number 1. I've given Mason's number 2, which is Omega. So I'm going to jump into my number 1. My number 1 is Omega. I am so delighted that Omega is my number 1, but I didn't even have to think about this one. Omega's great. I love her. She is captivating, compelling, consistently mature, and realistic and nuanced in ways that most clones are not. And the fact that her story is just getting started, I love it. I've got a front row seat for Omega, as do we all, and I can't wait to see what happens with her character. All right, number 1 for Mary is Rex, and number 1 for Terry is Hauser. Can't go wrong there. Kato's number 1 to number mine is Omega. This character really stole my heart by the end of the season. It's hard to resist anyone who uses a space bow and arrow, right? Kind of reminds me of that Dungeons and Dragons classic cartoon. Josh's number 1 is Hunter. Oh, he says, though after hearing everyone else, I've been second guessing everything. I love Hunter. If you hadn't asked me during season 7, I would have said Tech was my favorite, but it's totally Hunter. A very relatable character with an excellent performance. Good. I love Hunter. That's a great choice. And 1 for Christina is Rex. I've loved watching Rex's character grow from 7 seasons of Clone Wars through to Rebels. He humanizes the clones and how he processes all the trauma and loss and still manages to hold on to his ideals. It's truly admirable. There's so much more to say, but no one wants my essay on Rex now. Oh, that's funny. You should put that in the cafe. Speaking of, the CWK Cafe is our exclusive. Well, it's not exclusive. It's a Facebook group. Anybody can sign up for it. But in the CWK Cafe, that's where I want you to post your essays on these characters and these topics and these ideas. I think that's a great opportunity, a great place. So, Christina, thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring that one up. Jason's number 1 is Rex. He exemplifies everything I love about the clones: duty, honor, strength, courage, as well as the ability to adapt and think outside the box. Good. I knew we'd get a lot of love for Rex, and I think that's great. Ross's number 1 is also Rex. Sing it, Tina Turner, Simply the Best. Okay. Ross, I think you should sing it, buddy. Put an MP3 in the cafe for us. Nicholas Jose, Wrecker, despite his love of wrecking, I like that. Wrecker is probably one of the gentlest clones in existence. He cares about Omega and is very good with children. He is also adventurous and enthusiastic. Nicholas, that is an excellent way to put it. I love it. Number 1 for Ben is Rex. When I think of the clones, he's first to come to mind. I love that they've connected him to Return of the Jedi and the Battle of Endor. So Josh, can we just call this top 5 clones a rough draft? Sure, Josh. And like I said, in the CWK Cafe, you can finalize it and put a new one in there for sure. Jose's number 1 is Rex, mentoring Shinies, persevering through Umbara, and finally working with Ahsoka at the end of Clone Wars and later Rebels. His relationships with both her and Anakin are a highlight of many clone stories. And sometimes I think about the fact that Mason has not seen a lot of episodes of Clone Wars and how I need to rectify that, don't I? For sure. Terry, Marion Snow, you guys did okay. I think you did great, actually. Brian says CT5555. Does that help? Actually, it does help a lot. 5s. I fell in love with him when we first saw him on the Rishi Moon. We were able to follow his story, and he was able to achieve one of his own goals and become an ARC trooper. Is there anything better than Star Wars and talking Star Wars with our friends? I mean, this is great. I love it, Brian. See, these are the kind of jokes that we get, we understand. We're in this culture, in this world, and it's so fun. It's so fun to have this community. Josh's honorable mentions. Here we go. Tech, Cody, 5s, 99, Jesse, Gregor, and by the way, Mary, Terry says your list was perfect. Number 1s. We still got a number 1 left, and that is Mason Z. Mason Zayre's number 1 is Cody. His number 1 is Cody. I thought for sure Omega would supplant Cody, but he loves Cody. He loves how he looks. He loves the character. He's always loved Cody since he first saw him in Revenge of the Sith, and then in Clone Wars, and of course in different books. So Mason's number 1 is Cody. So your lists were great, everybody. They were very varied, but very varied. But Rex showed up a lot. Omega showed up a lot. We had some Boba Fett sightings. We had a lot of cut sightings. Pretty fun. The only really obscure one was Scorch, and then Ross mentioning the clone Ross. But, come on. That was pretty good. So what are we going to talk about next week? Well, I had a different direction, but then I realized something really special is going to happen on Wednesday. There's going to be a new Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, all about Mark Hamill returning to the role of Luke Skywalker and the making of the second half of season 2 of The Mandalorian, about as good as it gets in the world of Star Wars. So I want you to get and prepare your top 5 moments from Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. So that is going to be next week's top 5. Your top 5 moments from Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. I think that's going to be a ton of fun. Jason's honorable mentions Waxer and Boyle. I love their interactions with Numa. Omega, her amazing maturity and compassion. And Hardcase, because of all the intrigue, drama, and politics of the Clone Wars. I love seeing a dude who just wants to blow stuff up. I like Hardcase, and Heavy was one that Mason had thought about using as well. He's pretty fun. So Josh, also a fan of Waxer and Boyle. Good deal. Well, again, next week's top 5 moment is going to be from the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, which comes out on Wednesday on Disney+. Be sure to check that out. Speaking of checking that out, kudos to my great friend Corey for making this, but you can pre-order today my next Star Wars book, the Star Wars Character Encyclopedia. I wrote it alongside Amy Raquel, Elizabeth Dowsett. We've got Simon, and we've got Pablo. So be sure to pre-order the Star Wars Character Encyclopedia. I think you're going to enjoy it. Hopefully enjoy it as much as I did writing it. Look at that beautiful cover. The back of it's great too. You can see a lot more of it on Amazon.com. So Ben says, from all the episodes of Gallery, just the one that's coming out on Wednesday, Ben. That's the only one that we're going to do for this top 5. Terry loves everybody's choices, and I did as well. All right, very good. So now it's time to progress to Star Wars trivia. As you know, this is how Star Wars trivia works here on Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live. Please don't Google or look up the answer in the Star Wars book or any Star Wars reference book that you love. Just go with your heart, let the Force guide you, and we're all going to be winners because we're going to get to talk Star Wars together, of course. All right. Star Wars trivia. Here is the first question. Here we go. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think these will be too bad, but we'll see. What species are these? Let me try again. What species are the spectators who knock Tempto Paglis out of the Bunta Eve Classic? Oof. What species are the spectators who knock Team... Wow. Does Dan Z need glasses? Perhaps. What species are the spectators who knock Timto Pagalia out of the Bunta Eve Classic? What species are the spectators who knock Timto Pagalis out of the Bunta Eve Classic? While you're thinking about that, James is number 5. Cody, Gree, Hauser, Jesse, and Rex. James, good to have you, brother, for sure. One more time. I haven't seen any guesses yet. What species are the spectators who knock Timto Pagalis out of the Bunta Eve Classic? Josh says Klingons or Romulans. I think you have this show confused with another show, my friend. Ross is the same as Reeves. Chris says Tusken Raiders. Mason has got the emoji. Yeah, fair. What species are the spectators who knock Timto Pagalis out of the Bunta Eve Classic? So Chris says Tuskens, Jose said Tuskens, Jason's like, Ben says Tuskens, and Brian says shots from the Tuskens, Cato says Banthas, James says Sebulba, Christina is not sure, and Mary is definitely not sure. All right, I'll read it one more time, and then I'm going to share the answer. What species are the spectators who knock Timto Pagalis out of the Bunta Eve Classic? The answer is the species, the Tusken Raiders, or the Sand People. That is the answer. A tricky one, I think, to start things off. Now let's try this one. This one might be a little more digestible for everyone. Who rides shotgun in the Gungan submarine? Who rides shotgun in the Gungan submarine? It's not a yellow submarine, which we all live in, of course. Thank you, Ringo Starr. But who rides shotgun in the Gungan submarine? So that was my whistle of Yellow Submarine. Thank you, by the Beatles, Paul and John. Terry King says Qui-Gon. Jason says Jar Jar. Christina says Qui-Gon. Nick says Qui-Gon. Jose says Jar Jar. We've got a split. Josh says Jar Jar. Ben says Qui-Gon. Brian says Qui-Gon. Mason says Obi-Wan. Cato says Obi-Wan. Wow. Who rides shotgun in the Gungan submarine? Mary says Qui-Gon. Ben's digging the Yellow Submarine. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So again, who rides shotgun in the Gungan submarine? We've got some guesses for Jar Jar. We've got some for Qui-Gon. And we've got some for Obi-Wan. Those are pretty much all the characters in that particular scene. The answer is Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks sits shotgun. Think about how he's sitting in the facing the camera. He's sitting shotgun. He's sitting in the passenger side. That's correct. Okay, let's find another question that's the right amount of challenge. Josh says, who else? Jar Jar is the only reason they won the Battle of Naboo. Why, if he hadn't defeated Darth Maul and later blown up the Death Star, he might have been able to restore balance to the Force. Indeed. You know, some people think that, and that's crazy. I love it, Josh. I love the humor, man. One of the fun things about having you in our community. Thank you for being here. Thanks to all of you for being here. Okay. Let's see. This is actually the question. I'm going to read this question just so we can say, oh, boy. Kato used to work with the book writer for Yellow Submarine. What? I want to hear more about that, Kato. All right, here's the easiest question ever. Which order does Darth Sidious issue to the clone commanders, putting the Jedi in mortal danger? Which order does Darth Sidious issue to the clone commanders, putting the Jedi in mortal danger? It's super easy. I just gave this one, I don't know why, but here comes Nick and Jason have 66. Jose says 66. I mean, of course, that's what it is, right? I mean, whenever you go to Dairy Queen or McDonald's or some fast food place and your food order is 66, we always post pictures of it in the cafe because it's pretty funny. Brian says 70-4. No, that's actually the score of the last Cubs game. That's how bad we're doing. Mason, Cato, Mary, Ross, all order 66. It's definitely order 66. Definitely. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. No, that's too easy too. I gotta find you a challenging one. I like making you all think. Okay. This one might be fun. Who makes the tactical blunder of dismissing Darth Vader's powers as sorcerer's ways? Who makes the tactical blunder of dismissing Darth Vader's powers as sorcerer's ways? Christina's motorway Christina's motorway exit to get to work is 66, so she thinks of it every day. How about that? Next is Admiral Mahdi. The question is, Jose says Captain Nita. Who makes the tactical blunder of dismissing Darth Vader's powers as sorcerer's ways? And Josh says Admiral Mozzie. Kato says the guy that chokes. Brian says Mahdi. Okay, we've got a couple of options here. Who makes the tactical blunder of dismissing Darth Vader's powers as sorcerer's ways? Ross says the first choked Imperial we meet. Come on, Ross. No. Ross and Kato have the same certain point of view, which we like. Jason's not sure either. I'll read it one more time. Don't know his name, but he was a fool. Yes, he didn't make a good choice, did he? Can't remember his name, but I can picture the scene and hear the dialogue. Totally get that. Mason's got a zipper over his mouth because he's not sure. The question is, who makes the tactical blunder of dismissing Darth Vader's powers as sorcerer's ways? The answer is Admiral Mahdi, Motti, Admiral Mahdi, which you would only know if you read the novel or read the Marvel comic novel version of the movie, because I don't think they say it, Admiral Mahdi, in the movie. I don't think so. Okay, next question. Let's find a good challenging one. Who informs Qui-Gon Jinn that Queen Amidala is curious about Tatooine? Who informs Qui-Gon Jinn that Queen Amidala is curious about Tatooine? What do you think? Who informs Qui-Gon that Queen Amidala is curious about Tatooine? Jason says Captain Panaka. Brian says, at a concert years ago, my brother got a picture with the actor who played Admiral Mahdi, Richard Leparmentier, when he was pretending to choke my brother. Classic. Oh, that's cool. Nick says Panaka. Terry says Panaka. Josh says Panaka or Jar Jar. Jose says Panaka. Ross says Panaka. Christina says Panaka. Mason says Panaka. Any other takers on this one? Brian says Panaka. So does Mary. It seems everyone is correct. The answer is indeed Captain Panaka. Here's another one. What's the primary target of the Imperial walkers on Hoth? Cato says, I think she does it to herself. She does it herself as Padme. I think that's probably the most accurate answer. What's the primary target of the Imperial walkers on Hoth? The primary target of the Imperial walkers on Hoth. Nick says generators. Jose says rebel base. Terry says the shield generators. I can say right now that nobody has the exact name correct. Cato has shield generators. Mason says rebel base. Christina says the shield generators. Ross says the shield generators. Mary says the shield generators. Josh says the shields are Jar Jar wielding the double-bladed lightsaber. That was an unexpected moment, I gotta say. Chris says Dak. No. Brian says the shield generator. The question is, what's the primary target of the Imperial walkers on Hoth? And guess what? Nobody got it. The correct answer is the power generator. You knock out the power, you knock out the shields. And if you listen for the dialogue, they do say power generators. So the answer is the power generators. We stumped everybody on an Empire Strikes Back question. I never would have guessed that. Let's see. We'll do a couple more. Who does Queen Amidala defend, saying he has been our strongest supporter? Didn't even mean to be so cold to my man Dak. I love Dak. John Morton's the best. Power of the Force generator. Ooh, that would be a fun collectible. Question is, who does Queen Amidala defend, saying he has been our strongest supporter? Jason says Chancellor Valorum. Ross says Palpatine. Nick says Palpatine. Terry says Valorum. Christina says Valorum. Ben says Valorum. Who does Queen Amidala defend, saying he's been our strongest supporter? Mason says Jar Jar. Oh no, Josh, look at you're influencing my son. Mary says Palpatine. Who else? Who else do we got here? Cato says Palpatine. One more time. Who does Queen Amidala defend, saying he has been our strongest supporter? The answer, Chancellor Valorum. Chancellor Valorum. This is from the Phantom Menace. Brian's got that one too. Josh was going to say Palpatine. I was thinking Palpatine too, but then I forgot about what had that little twist in the Phantom Menace. All right, let's see. Who does young Anakin call a great pal? We'll finish with this one. Who does young Anakin call a great pal? Josh says that Mason is very wise. Indeed he is, sir. Very kind of you to say. Who does young Anakin call a great pal? Nick says C-3PO. As does Jason and Ross and Brian. No Kitster love so far. And Terry and Ben. And everybody is Cato says 3PO. Mary says 3PO. Mason says Palpatine. I don't know that that's what Mason meant, but Christina says C-3PO. Who does young Anakin call a great pal? Get it? Pal? Palpatine? I like it, Mason. I love the pun. You know we love a good pun here at the Zare household. Very good. The answer is, of course, C-3PO. Yes, Mason is on a roll. He'll be hosting his own podcast any moment now. I love it. His skills are now complete. Very good. Well, that was some fun trivia. We had some stumpers. I still can't believe we stumped everybody on the Empire Strikes Back one. But honestly, that's pretty understandable. Shield generator, power generator, it's all pretty similar. But it all is cool because we get to talk some Star Wars together. I always love playing Trivial Pursuit. I don't know about you, but whenever I played it when I was younger, even when I was older, people wouldn't want to play against me, or if they did, we had to stack the odds and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you all had the similar experiences too. So to be able to play trivia with all of you is great joy and great fun. Speaking of great joy and great fun, I know you've got some questions, so let's go ahead and jump right over into Ask Dan Z. All right, it's Ask Danzy. This is the time to ask me any questions about Star Wars, podcasting, whatever is on your mind. Ben says, what Vision story are you looking forward to seeing the most? You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Ben, because shortly after this, I'm going to be recording with my good friend Drew Taylor about top 5 things we love about the Star Wars Visions trailer. So I'm going to explore that a bit more closely. But some of the visuals, I'm looking forward mostly to the fight choreography. I'm not really sure what stories that would be per se, but we're definitely going to talk about it a lot for sure. Josh, top 5 moments from the OG Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Ooh, that would be cool. That would be fun. Am I happy with Fields standing up for Dalton? I think that's super cool. Fields is a classy guy, a class act. And if the Bears don't get an offensive line, he is not going to get much chance to do anything. So, yeah, I think that Fields is a good dude. Let's see. Visions for sure. Have you heard of Jar Jar? I have. He is a cuddly Gungan. Is that correct, Mason? Jason is all about that. Very good. What was your favorite character to write about in the new encyclopedia? Nick, that's a great question. That's actually one I can't quite answer just yet. But ask me that again when the book comes out, and I will revisit that question for sure, Nick. Another question. We're about 35 hours from the departure to Disney. I'll post pics as we go. Yay. Be sure to wish Terry luck, everybody. Again, Matthew Graken is there now. Terry's on his way to Galaxy's Edge soon. Can't wait to see your pictures and hear all about it, my friend. Mason is on some sort of a Jar Jar streak. Cato, this is nuts and bolts, but when working with collaborators in these books, how do you share info? That's a tricky one for me to answer too, but we have an excellent team, an excellent group of publishers and people that I work with at Lucasfilm and Disney. So there's kind of a lot. Again, that's actually this is my fault. It's hard for me to respond to that because it's a little early for me to say yet, but Cato, please ask me that again because that's a great question, an important question, and one I would be asking too. Mason is saying Jar Jar is cool. Jar Jar is awesome. We love Jar Jar too. It looks to me. Christina says, enjoy, Terry. Super jealous of everyone who gets to go. Yeah, it's going to be fun. You know, Celebration is, let's see, it's not that far away. It's next May. So hopefully we'll all get to hang out at Celebration when we're at Celebration at Galaxy's Edge in California. Certainly a lot of hurdles to cross before then, but it's going to be fun. And it's always fun talking Star Wars to each and every one of you. Again, my name is Dan Z. I'm the host of Coffee with Kenobi. It's so fun to be a part of this community and this conversation that we have here at Coffee with Kenobi. Next week, we're going to be talking about your top 5 favorite moments from this week's new episode of The Mandalorian, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. So be sure to watch that this week and then get your top 5 ready for that one. It's going to be a blast. Of course, next week, tag a friend while you're watching the show. Invite them if they're Star Wars fans to be a part of this community on Facebook Live every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. You can certainly find Coffee with Kenobi on Twitter, on Instagram. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Jason says, definitely needed the show tonight. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Jason. Thanks for being a part of it. Christina, thank you for a great discussion. Mary, have a great week. Thank you so much. Brian's going to be dreaming about power generators now. I don't blame you. Nick says, may the force be with you. Terry, have a safe week and safe travels, my friend. Enjoy every second. Cato, thank you so much as always. Matthew, what is up, dude? First time on a podcast besides Kenobi. Good to have you, Matthew. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? My favorite Star Wars character is Darth Vader, the most Shakespearean, the most complex, the most interesting to me. There's a lot of good ones to choose from, though. Josh, thanks and good night. One of the highlights of my week. I don't know that many people will like Star Wars the way I do, so this is really nice. Josh, I'm so glad that's what it's all about. Fostering this community. So good. So good. Bye, Jar Jar. Bye, Jar Jar. Good night. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Be sure to be on the lookout Thursday for our new Coffee with Kenobi, where Drew Taylor and I will be looking at top 5 favorite moments from the new Star Wars Visions trailer. Enjoy. May the Force be with you. This is the podcast you're looking for. See you next time.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.